Today I'm going to do a review of the book I've just finished reading. This is a book called I Left My Tent in San Francisco by Emma Kennedy. I've read her previous book, which was The Tent, the Bucket and Me, which was a really good book, so I bought this one. And it's a sort of travel log and comedy kind of book for when she travelled across America with her friend after university, and they were supposed to get jobs and work their way across from San Francisco back across to New York over about 3 months, but there's sort of lots of things that go wrong. They don't get jobs and they end up finding people to help them put them up and sort of to get travel across. Obviously there's a forgotten tent incident, but it's a really funny book. If you like travel logs or sort of funny stories, it's really good. It's about 320 pages long. It's quite small writing, but it's quite readable. There's no pictures throughout the book, but there's some on the cover. And I'll just read the synopsis for you. It says, it's 1989 and Emma and her best friend Dee head to the USA to make their fortune. But completely inept and virtually unemployable, they discover they can't even get jobs in McDonald's. Forced to travel from California to New York with only pennies in their pockets, they bounce from scrape to scrape, surviving on their wits and the kindness of strangers. Bad luck and misfortune throw everything their way. Snakes, earthquakes, black magic, and incontinent dogs. They even get kidnapped by a sex-crazed midget in a Ferrari. So I'll just read you maybe the first page, just to give you a sort of a look at the book, the style of it. The first chapter is called Up, Up and Away, and it reads, I was crouched in a bush, a stolen sign tucked under my arm. I was drunk and a police car was prowling. My bike was abandoned in the road and my best friend Dee was hunched next to me. Do you think they've gone? She whispered, tugging at my sleeve. Definitely gone, I said, words slurring. Let's get out of the hedge. I pushed my way under the pavement, a broken twig in my fringe, and crawled on all fours towards my bike. But they weren't gone. As Dee and I stumbled over each other to pick up our bikes, there was a screech ahead of us. The patrol car that had passed us in a slow creep moments earlier had made a loop at the top of the street and come back. I blinked and looked up. The car came to a crunching halt at an angle, and 2 police officers leapt out and bore down upon us. Sorry, I began. Our lights aren't working. I think they must need new batteries. But the burly officer before me wasn't interested. What's that? He asked, pointing at the small plastic sign still tucked under my arm. I looked down at it and swallowed. 20 minutes earlier, in a moment of end-of-term hijinks, Dee and I had unhooked it from the top of a used Lexus on a garage forecourt. It's a prop, I asked, looking over at Dee for some assistance. For a play, she chipped in, eyebrows raised in hope. So that's just over the first page. Really recommend this book. I thought it was really good, and I'll definitely read something of hers again.